Welcome to Soul Searcher Australia. The journey begins. You are joining us as we start out our journey on our new Iliad 62 Catamaran in Australia on the Great Barrier Reef. And who are we? Well, we are Bob and Dee. We are a couple from Tampa, Florida. We are joined on our journey by Captain Art and First Mate Cindy. After traveling from Tampa to LA, where we stopped and hung out with our friend Matt in our 14-hour layover, we went and saw some of the sights, the Troubadour, Sad Cafe, took a trip down to Hollywood, or should I say overlooking Hollywood on Mulholland Boulevard, places I'd never been before. We took a late night flight from LA to Sydney, and eventually a flight from Sydney to the Whitsundays Islands in the Great Barrier Reef. This is our landing in Sydney, where we just touched down for a couple of hours, cleared customs, and then ended up getting right back on another flight out of there. We've spent some time in Sydney and have many fond memories because that's where we actually purchased Soul Searcher several months earlier. Sydney will always have a place in our hearts because that's the very first time we ever laid eyes on Soul Searcher and met the amazing people from Iliad Catamarans. After our brief stop in Sydney, goodbye Sydney, we hopped a Virgin Australia jet and we're up in the air again, and very soon we were landing on Hamilton Island. The Australians abbreviate everything, so the name for Hamo in Aussie is Hamo. Did I just abbreviate that without even meaning to? I think I did. The flight from Sydney to Hamilton Island is actually a couple hours long, and we were surprised by how far away the distances are in Australia. Hamilton Island has one of the two access points for air travel into the Whitsundays and Great Barrier Reef, and it is the one that is right next to a marina, so that's where we chose to go. Art and Cindy had already brought the boat up from Brisbane, where it was undergoing all of its initial shakedown and management of all the little things that happen after you buy a boat, the things that make it yours. This is our happy faces as we landed in beautiful subtropical Hamilton Island. Hamilton Island has a pretty impressive little airport, mostly open air, as you might imagine, and the fun thing about Hamilton Island is that there are no cars, with very few exceptions, on the island, so you rent golf carts. We had 4 great big suitcases containing many things that we needed for the boat. Piled those on the golf cart and we headed off to the marina. Now the marina is really around the corner, so even though this is a time lapse, it looks like we're going a long way, but really it's like less than a mile. This is our first look at the harbor, which was beautiful. And then we turn the corner and we are at the marina. Our excitement had really built because it had been a couple of months since we had seen Soul Searcher, and a lot of the finishing touches had been put on her to make her really and truly ours. So we did the long walk down the dock at the beautiful marina and finally saw Soul Searcher. We were greeted by first mate Cindy and our new tender. The marina was really, really beautiful and the weather was perfect. So we spent a very short but wonderful time getting reacquainted with Soul Searcher. And then we got up bright and early the next day, all refreshed from our trip, and met our friend Chuck Nelms, who came over from Tampa. He's been instrumental in helping us get into sailing and boating. And these are a few shots of Hamilton Island and the gorgeous, gorgeous sunset there.
I've got a feeling deep inside I'm coming alive. Deep in this body of water, there's a tide taking me on a ride. I'm coming alive. Coming alive. I'm on a journey. I've set my sights out to the open road. This is survival out in the wild. My greatest teacher, she lives inside. Coming alive out to the sunsets. Maybe I'll find love. I can't stop dreaming, it's so close that I can touch. Holding my heart here, steady my speed. There is a tide taking over me. Feel the light coming down from the moon. Shine on, I'm ready to move. Got a feeling deep inside I'm coming alive. Yeah. To the ocean of endless streams. Rise up, new possibilities. Keeping hope in my eyes. I'm coming alive. Yeah. Coming alive. I won't live in fear. I am a
You going there, mate?
Fantastic. This is paradise.
Having a good time?
I am having a fantastic time.
Good. Would you recommend the Whitsunday Islands?
There is no place else I'd rather be.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us on this lovely cruise.
Oh, thank you for having me.
out to the sunsets. I'm wild and I'm free. There is a tide taking over me. Feel the light coming down from the moon. Shine on, I'm ready to move. Got a feeling deep inside. I'm coming alive. To the ocean of endless streams. Rise up, new possibilities. Keeping hope in my eyes. I'm coming alive.
Where are we? We're trying to get into the lagoon? All right. And we're at Hook Island?
No, cancel that one because it's going to be too rough.
Really?
Yes. So we're going to head in here for a nice calm day so we can go boating and use the kayaks and all that stuff.
Okay.
It'll be too rough.
Okay. We gotta take the drone. Hopefully we'll find a beach. Yeah. The drone had a little crash yesterday, so I want to fly it over land before I fly it over water. Here's our anchor chain ready to deploy, and our anchor technician ready to technit. It's a really windy day. We changed our plans today and came to a more windproof, if you will, cove to anchor because we're going to get quite a blow overnight. Probably like 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 35. And so we didn't want to have a really rough night. And we actually found a mooring ball, which is cool. It's the first time that we've ever used a mooring ball, all of us together. And actually that means Art and Cindy, and they did really well with it, of course, is what we would expect. But this island is wild and beautiful, and the rock formations have been eroded by the waves. And the tide, there's a 3-meter tide difference here, 3-meter tide, I guess you would say. And so the difference between high tide and low tide is really about, 9 to 10 feet. And that's a lot more than what we have in Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, we've got a foot and a half. And so we don't see these dramatic things where if you pull your 600-pound dinghy up on the shore and leave it at high tide, and then you go for a hike and come back and it's 3 hours later and it's coming on low tide, your dinghy is sitting on the rocks and you got to sit there and wait for high tide to come again before you can get your dinghy off the beach. So you got to be careful, anchor out a little bit and walk in, which is basically what we did today.
There's a tide taking over me. Feel the light coming down from the moon. Shine on, I'm ready to move. Got a feeling deep inside.